Afriforum, Bati. There's a video, Afriforum. Let's talk about two videos. Number one, Afriforum is saying, listen. Afriforum is saying, listen. Malema should be sanctioned for singing the song. You know what I'm saying? The poor. They are saying for that he should be sanctioned, international sanction. Now let's move right along. Right from there, we also have what is this? We look with the same Afriforum saying, "Oh, Donald Trump, angithi he did what he did, and they gave us what is it? Is it 30% tariffs, right?" DA is saying this is as a result of ANC leadership, and therefore ANC should be sanctioned. The leadership of the ANC should face the sanctions themselves. And I'm sitting here and I'm saying to myself, what about Afriforum? What about Afriforum? Because you are now inviting foreign powers to come and govern South Africa. What about you? Why must we not look, or why must we overlook you? That's my problem with Afriforum. They want us not to look at them. They want us to, turn a blind eye when it comes to them and look somewhere else and blame the ANC. I just don't think that is going to be possible for us to blame the ANC for. I think the most act that have angered them is the Expropriation Act, right? So that act has angered them. But let's start with the video where they were talking about the sanctions. Let me see. I think it was the first one was the sanctions concerning Malema. But let's start with this video. Yabo, here.
Afriforum is now starting with a process to request governments internationally to impose punitive actions against Julius Malema and those that make themselves guilty of human rights violations by chanting "Kill the Boer." We also request governments to use diplomatic channels to request the South African government to condemn these calls for the murder of Afrikaners and farmers unconditionally. This international action is needed, of course, because the South African Constitutional Court found that the Constitution does not protect Afrikaners and farmers against these calls for violence against them. In this campaign, we will also spread a dossier that is being drawn up by our legal team. This dossier would show that how Julius Malema and his colleagues abuse human rights. Secondly, how they openly support terror organizations. And thirdly, that they are accused of very serious cases of corruption.
Okay, so now that we're done with this one, so in this video they are detailing or explaining why, not why, but they're explaining as to they're explaining as to Malema getting sanctions. Let's go to the ANC people after the tariff. They then came back and they said some quite interesting things about the tariff. And I'm going to ask you a question. Do you think it's the problem of the ANC leadership? But, just to be fair, the ANC nabo got by a boss, man. That's just an honest truth. The ANC nabo by a boss. You're sitting there and you're like, guys, there's lack of vision, there's lack of enthusiasm, there's lack of intention, there's lack of direction, there's lack of leadership, there's lack of almost everything in the ANC. There's nothing really. If there is few things that you can credit the ANC for, most of the things they are found wanting. So now when there's Afriforum that says there must be sanctions, the leaders of the ANC must be the ones facing the sanctions, you kind of feel like, they might be telling the truth in a way. But the problem is that when right thing is said by the wrong person, it's still wrong. If you don't get it, forget about it. When the right thing is said by the wrong person, it's still wrong. So maybe we would have entertained the conversation if it was coming from somebody else, but not Afriforum, not Solidarity, not Donald Trump, not Elon Musk. Maybe the conversation would have been true. But because it's also coming from someone whom we deem a wrong person, it just makes the conversation wrong. If you don't get it, forget about it. Listen to the people with Afriforum speaking here.
ANC leaders should be held directly accountable for the fact that the US has punished South Africa with higher import tariffs that they implemented elsewhere in the world. The fact is, the ANC leaders have put their own interests and that of their party, as well as their own ideology, above the interests of the normal people in this country, and we are now reaping the bitter fruits of that. The fact is, those that also try to portray the grievances of the US as a result of misinformation should also take responsibility, because they hindered efforts to put the real problems on the table for us to find solutions for that. From Afriforum side, we will continue to work hard to make sure that the circumstances are created in South Africa so that these punitive measures can be taken away or diminished by the USA. The fact is, we will continue to fight for property rights, for human rights of all people. That, of course, includes the human rights of Afrikaners and other minorities. And we will also work hard to make sure that we promote the fact that South Africa should have a truly neutral foreign policy.
Okay, so let's move. So I'm checking something here. So yeah, that was Afriforum. That is what Afriforum has said about the fact that the local ANC leadership must be sanctioned individually. And I was like, yeah, I get it, but like I said, something said by the wrong person. You know what I'm saying? Even if that thing is right, but we just question the intentions. On a lighter note, if you want to defend the ANC and you just want to say the ANC, in 1994, it's the one that brought about the 1994 freedom, and then you have to ask yourself a question. Then after 1994, what have you done? Sorry guys, what have you done? Because you cannot always talk about the 1994 as if there's nothing else after 1994. There must be something else after 1994. Yeah, 1994 happened. Then after 1994, what? You know, so they cannot always talk about 1994 as if that's the only thing. In fact, I said that at a time when they were campaigning or during the elections, I said, the ANC has no right of telling us or have no right to tell us that, trust us, these are the things that we will do for you in the future. The ANC has a better advantage to say, look at us, these are the things that we have done for you so far. Look, so based on what we have done for you so far, have faith that we can do more tomorrow. For the fact that the ANC does not have such argument anymore, it shows us that the ANC is as good as a new political party wanting to get into power. It just shows us that. So, Naboman, there's just less. The ANC should be in a position where they brag about their work, should be in a position where they say, you know what, last year, Tina, we did 1, 2, 3. But for the fact that Nabo, they struggle to find a conversation, or they cannot construct a strong conversation in their favor concerning that, Nabo, it says a lot about how much there's a lack of leadership. That's all I wanted to say. There's a lack of leadership, and because of that, they find themselves in a very dangerous position as to how they are going to defend themselves in all of this situation. That's why we are here. But I'm interested to hear your thoughts and your opinion about it. See you on the next episode. But until then, please take care.